I'm going to sum up everything I've been doing to bring you up to speed on how I've gotten to where I am today on my game development. I've been working on this for about a month and a half now, since the beginning of June, and now it's late July. The whole point of this video game is to sculpt, to animate, and to bring my creatures to life. And so, I am a programmer by necessity. As you can see here, we have the rooms and everything is procedurally generated. Let's talk about it. First, I started watching tutorials done by Dev Squad. What was implemented was a hunger system and stamina, as well as battery-powered flashlights. So flashlights you could turn on and off, and then eventually they'd run out and you'd have to pick up batteries. I was sort of jumping around from tutorial to tutorial, and I was just trying to get you to be able to pick up a weapon and shoot it. So I had some issues. The weapon was spinning around, but we got that figured out, and then I was trying to shoot beans, and the bean was way too big, and then the weapon disappeared, but we figured that part out. So now I have an enemy that you can shoot, and he has a health system, and then they'll eventually die, and then I added in a nav mesh, and then the enemy would run at you and just come up and try and give you a hug. I made it so that way their bones would fall off, their arms would fall off, their legs, and then they would fall over. And after all of this, I ended up deciding to start completely over. So we completely started over from the T-pose. But very quickly I started adding in the weapons again, and it was much more stable system, the older system. I was running almost everything on event tick, and that's a terrible way to do it. Please don't do that. Be very cautious about what you're using the event tick for, because you can really bog down your game. I was able to shoot people again. We were in first person. There would be blood spattering and all that, and everything was starting to look really good. Oh, and I even added in a very simple free inventory system, and it was a really good start, but I just didn't really like how it was turning out. I started implementing crouch and prone systems. I was able to make it so that way you can't stand up if you're underneath something, which I know is what's supposed to happen, but you have to solve that. And so I solved that with a raycast, and you would raycast up above you and it would measure it, and if the measurement was just right, you'd be able to stand up, and if it wasn't, if there was something in the way, you wouldn't be able to stand up. So the next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to re-implement the limbs falling off, and it was working okay. It was really janky. If you shoot them in the leg, they would ragdoll, and then they would go into prone, and I eventually kind of made it work. At first there was some big issues, but we made it work. Then I started to realize the scope of this thing. And as I said in the beginning of this video, I'm an artist first, I'm a programmer second. I'm only programming out of necessity. I want to make a video game. I don't want to make systems. I will make systems if I can, but not everything is within my scope, and I don't want to spend 6 months on a system. I'm trying to make this game as soon as possible. I ended up purchasing the ultimate hit reaction component, and this solves all of my issues much faster than I would have been able to. There was a lot of learning that was involved when I was trying to pick it apart and make it a part of everything else I was already building. So as you can see here, now if you shoot them in different limbs, they react differently, and their limbs will fall off eventually. It's not just like one tap, and they actually have state changes, which is exactly what I was looking for. That's what I want. Now this is the most recent update that I had before I added in my first creature, and you've seen that before. If you haven't, I recommend checking it out. The next video I want to talk about the procedural generation, and that's the video. I want to thank you so much for making it this far. Let me know in the comments if you made it over from TikTok. I want to thank everyone who signed up to be a patron of mine. You have no idea how much you're helping out this channel and the video game progression. Just so you know, I hold bi-weekly polls over on Patreon. Right now the current poll that my patrons are voting on is how important building is within the video game. And also, anyone who is a patron of mine or supports me in any way, I'm going to put your name in the credits of the video game. One more thing, I want to let you know that I have plans to start making t-shirts, and it's going to be original game art about the video game, surrounding the video game. So just keep an eye out for that. I think that's everything, so I'll see you guys later.